When you optimize a model, a very important part of the process of optimization is that of gathering precise information about the model size, the space used in memory by each table, each column, the number of distinct values, the size of relationships. A lot of information are really important if you want to have a good understanding of where your DAX is going to spend time. And this is exactly what the performance metrics are for. If you run the VertiPaq Analyzer matrix, you will obtain a report that contains a lot of information. You can see them here that are extremely useful, kind of hard to understand, kind of counterintuitive, but extremely useful to understand exactly where the problem might be. So the VertiPaq Analyzer matrix is useful to look at the matrix, so you can look at the values straight using DAX Studio, but you can also save the information as a JSON file that then can be further analyzed using VertiPaq Analyzer by yourself or anybody that uses DAX Studio or VertiPaq Analyzer, even without being connected to your server. Let's see how it works. So we are still in the Advanced tab, and we want to understand the matrix about the database to which we are connected. You can choose to import, export, or just view the matrix. Everything typically starts with view matrix that connects to the server, gathers information about each table, each column, each relationships, the entire structure of the model, and then presents you this report that shows for each table the number of rows, the size of the table, the size of the column, the size of data, dictionary, the size of hierarchies, the kind of encoding used, and the data type of individual columns. You also have these small bars that gives you an idea of the relative relevance in terms of size of each column, speaking about both cardinality and column size. So you quickly see that the name is using kind of a lot of space because it's a string, it has a very large cardinality, and it has both a large dictionary and not so small, not so large for the data, but the dictionary being a string is very large. You can quickly look at the information about the tables. So from here, you can quickly look at the largest table in the model, both in terms of rows and size. And you can also look at individual columns. Using individual columns, you can quickly spot what are the most expensive columns in your entire model. You can look at the relationships where you can look at each relationship, the size and the cardinality on both sides of the relationship, and whether there are missing keys or invalid rows that might generate the blank row, which creates issues with distinct values and the presence of blank rows. You can also look at partitions. We don't have any here, but here you can also look at how many partitions and how many segments are present there. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time in describing all these details because if you are interested in it, keep in mind we also have a free course about VertiPaq Analyzer. Indeed, one important detail about the information that you can gather using view matrix is that you can save this information and then load it again later either in DAX Studio or in VertiPaq Analyzer. Let's see both options. I can just save this matrix, so export the matrix, and let's call it a matrix, and save it. That generates a JSON file or a zip file containing multiple JSON files that contains all the information that have been read by DAX Studio during the process of reading the matrix. Once you have done it, you can open, for example, another instance of DAX Studio that we do not connect to any model. We just keep it unconnected. But because we have a performance analyzer matrix file, I can import the matrix, read it, and I have the same view that I would have if I were connected to the data model. That gives you the option of sending this VPAX file to anybody so that they can look at your model and give you suggestions or understand if you are about to face any problem with your model. Besides, DAX Studio gives you a quite kind of detailed but not too deep view about the information. It basically shows the most relevant and most useful pieces of information. But sometimes you need to go deeper. And if that is the case, then you do not use DAX Studio. Instead, you use VertiPaq Analyzer. VertiPaq Analyzer is a tool that you can download from the SQL BI website. We have a course that explains all the details about VertiPaq Analyzer, how to use it, and how to read every single piece of information. And from here, you can open a VPAX file, open it again. And the biggest advantage of VertiPaq Analyzer is that it gives you very detailed information about every aspect of your data model. It contains really anything you might want to discover about a data model. It takes a while to read all the information from the file, but once it's done, then you can look at the same information that DAX Studio offers you, but this time it's in Excel. And being in Excel, you have all the features that Excel gives you available. So you can highlight cells, you can do math, you can look at all the values, and you can look at tables, columns, partitions, hierarchies, relationship, the kind of compression used, the data types, the encoding, all the DAX expressions that are present in your code, and all the information inside Excel. That means you can highlight points, you can do math, you can save files for later in order to compare one with the other. So having the option of using DAX Studio, you have the import matrix, export matrix, and view matrix. These three operations are extremely useful, especially when used in connection with the VertiPaq Analyzer.